Alrighty, welcome to the first introduction episode to Prometheus podcast. So this has been a project of mine for a minute and something that I had to come to a decision to make because everyone is faced with crossroads, and no matter who you are and where you come from, crossroads hit anyone at any point at any given time. And the toughest decision with crossroads is figuring out where you're going to go, figuring out the destination, figuring out the end goal to something that's lingering inside your subconscious that you can't figure to get out. So I wanted to make sure that I create a project and dive into something that my subconscious and my conscious mind is both in terms and both basically cohesive within each other. Meaning I'm doing something that I know I want to do versus doing something that I know I don't want to do. And that's key in everything. Most people do things that they don't want to do, and then they suffer mentally long term. So I was like, let me do this, let me sacrifice, and let me be uncomfortable. Because reaching the next level is being able to be comfortable being uncomfortable. So Prometheus is the name that I decided to name it, because Prometheus, to me, if you're a historian or you like history or you've seen any type of Greek legends or anything like that, Prometheus was basically a person who stole fire from the gods and given it to the humans. The humans then used the fire to create what we know as civilizations. They figured out to cook the foods, and they figured they use fire for multiple of things. And if you use Prometheus now in figurative language in modern times, basically Prometheus is a way to bring the knowledge from an outside source to the audience, to the everyday person, being able to basically dish out information to whatever subject that is being discussed from different point of views, because not everyone knows everything, but everyone can potentially understand where a person is coming from. So the name was very important to me because I'm all about figurative language to a degree, actually. So sometimes I look at things in figurative language ways. So I like to have meaning. I'd like to have a meaning in something. So the name was very important. So thus Prometheus was created. This is basically, my child. First episode, day one. So Prometheus will definitely focus on all avenues of different areas and different fields, on the people I bring in, the guests that come in. It will challenge the mind. That's what I go for. The mind is very unique, and I like to challenge people's minds. I like to ask questions that make them think and make them reassure what they're thinking about, to deliver the best type of content and the best type of debate if we may have, or a conversation that we may have. So let me see. So that's why it was important to create the name and the concept. The name and the concept is very important. So with that piece of introduction, I can definitely dive into a topic that's, very important, or basically just the tip of the iceberg to what's to come in the future. So what I wanted to discuss today is emotional intelligence. The reason why I wanted to focus on emotional intelligence today was because this week I've been faced with at work with like a issue that had occurred where I'm in leadership role, and it needed me to be emotionally, calm and situated. So after I dealt with that said situation, my team was like, how were you able to stay, calm, and how were you able to, not break down and be nervous or like show any type of like fear, excuse me, to what's happening. And I'm like, my philosophical mindset wanted to give the answer, but I just gave a straightforward answer. But here I'm able to. So practicing emotional discipline is key to the everyday man, to the everyday person, especially men nowadays in modern times. Being emotionally disciplined will save you from a lot of situations. Being able to see the situation, uh, adjust, and figure out the best solution just using your mind and staying calm. That's very key. Um, I would say a emotional man is a man that will make plenty of mistakes because when faced with difficulties, his emotions will overcome his his thoughts, and his actions will speak more for him instead of his thoughts on actually performing what he needs to actually perform. So men nowadays fall into a trap where they're pushed, they allow other outside interference to push their buttons, to push their emotions. So the way I think about it is I can't let an outside force, dictate my emotions. So for me, if someone comes in with his attention with pure intentions of messing my emotions, doing something that may result in me not in result of me doing something that I don't want to do. So it's let me see. Let me see. I'm doing something that I don't want to, do. So basically, when somebody, basically what I get into is allowing someone to get you out of character, to get your emotional state heightened, is basically giving them the power. And when someone knows that they can mess with your emotions, someone knows that you're having a good day and you're going about your day, and they know that they're the only person that can get you out of character, it gives them a sense of power. In a sense, it goes back to primitive humans and primitive mindset. At a certain degree, everyone craves power. If it's money, if it's different ways of power, if they have some type of control over something, humans tend to like it. So if you allow someone to go forth with, making you go out of character, it's giving them the power. And I really genuinely do not like giving anyone, power over me and my emotions. So that's why I've practiced it. I started practicing it at a young age when I noticed that it's a very key component to like everything. Being able to stay calm, assess the situation, deal with a set situation the proper way, and definitely being a young male, because with being a man comes with a overarching generalization of protection, providing, and leadership. Those are like the top three components when you're faced. Those are the top three components you're faced with, as a young man growing up. It's being able to protect the people around you, being able to provide to the people around you, and being able to lead. Being able to lead comes with the utmost, key component of emotional discipline, because everyone that's behind you is looking at you. They're all looking at you when you're faced with difficulty. In a leadership role, I'll repeat that again. In a leadership role, when you're standing amongst men, and everyone is behind you, and you're faced with difficulty, and your back is against the wall, each and every person is looking at your next move, how you're going to react. And how you react is very key to them determining, if you're fit to be in that leadership role. Because being thrust into a leadership role, you're chosen amongst the people around you. You can never claim that you're a leader because leaders are chosen by the people around them. So even if you think you're not being watched, even though you think, that you're out and about low key and to the distance, people are watching. And each and every day, people sometimes just unconsciously decide if you're the right person to lead. And that goes into, relationships, that goes into business, that goes into a key component of things. And that all boils down to emotional intelligence, emotional discipline. Not having that can set you back a couple of years in regards to you doing what you got to do. So, in regards to Prometheus podcast, we will challenge the mind. We will challenge debates that's, we will challenge today's times debate. We will challenge modern times debate. We will, push the nail on many topics. This is something that's I'm gonna look back at this episode one. I'm gonna look back at this, and I will look back at this and be like, just wow, how I thrusted myself into an uncomfortable situation. This right here for me is super uncomfortable. It's super uncomfortable, but I know I'm doing this for the betterment of something that will last beyond me. Because this is not about me. This is about what this can bring to the people. So this leads me into another topic of being able to be comfortable being uncomfortable. It sounds kind of like eyebrow raising, but being comfortable in uncomfortable situations is building character development that you don't know that you need. I'll say that again. Being uncomfortable is character development that you don't know that you need, because each and every day we're faced with different difficulties that we're put into that we're normally not, used to. Many people face social anxieties when they have to stand up in front of a class or in front of an auditorium and speak. It's nerve-wracking and it's uncomfortable. But the ones that dig deep inside to pull that force out of them to speak and to just rise up and deliver the best piece of content that they have in mind that given day, are the ones that are like the very select few. Because not everyone comes out their shell. Not everyone decides to escape the bubble they put on themselves in their minds. So people would rather just stay uncomfortable and stay inside their shells. And the more you stay inside your shell, the more uncomfortable things in life will get, because we're tested each and every day. So if you're a person that gets uncomfortable if you're a person that gets uncomfortable in different areas of different fields, you're always going to be thrust into it until you deal with it. After you deal with it and break that barrier, everything starts to open up. It's like being in a cave and you see that little light and you decide to go through that little light and keep going to that little light until once you finally reach through, it's like it's just like you're outside the cave. But most people decide to close their eyes in a cave and not, and not leave because they're uncomfortable. They're scared of the unknown of what's out there. And people are faced with that, and they just decide to just stay in that little bubble because that little bubble gives them protection. But is it really protecting you, or do you feel like it's protecting you or holding you back or keeping you in an area where you feel best at? But it's like, how long are you going to stay there? How long are you going to stay inside that bubble that's definitely holding you back? Because life's greatest changes are through difficulties, are through uncomfortable situations. What person, celebrity that you know and like had to go through something? Each celebrity, each person has a uncomfortable story in which they had to deal with. Each person that you walk past by, each person that you walk past by the street, pass by the bus, train, in the store, the homeless man shaking the cup, they each person that you walk past by or dealt with the uncomfortable reality of the world at times, and they choose to either be comfortable being uncomfortable or just stay uncomfortable and stay in that bubble. So it's like, you gotta have to ask yourself, where do you see yourself? And where do you see yourself is a key component into like furthering and developing yourself. Because, there's a saying, life is short, but compared to like the universe, compared to the universe, life is short. But the days do feel long, like each year it sometimes it drags on. So it may not feel short at times for different people, but the best growth is dealt with difficulties, without a doubt. So this right here for me is definitely a space where I'm just thrusted into. Like, I did have a guest in mind. I did want to dive into topics. I did want to, pick the person's brain, but then the last minute cancel, thrust already thrusted me into an uncomfortable situation. So I'm like, okay, cool, the person canceled, but do I cancel? And I said no to myself because it's important for me to follow through and be able to deliver. Because at the end of the day, you may see my face a lot on Prometheus podcast, but this will last longer than me. This is the little stone that more. This is the little stone that grows. This is the water that builds over time. This is something that's brewing, and from brewing in my mind to brewing on the paper to developing the concept and the meaning and what to deliver. It was just all uncomfortable, but necessary because, like I said earlier, my subconscious and my conscious mind came to agreement that this is the direction that needed to be taken in order for a new chapter in my life, because it's like, let me see, this part is where it's kind of edited, chopped off, but this is key to me because back in 2020, when the pandemic hit, it hit everyone. It hit everyone, of course. But what the pandemic did to me was it challenged me into thinking, like, what's next for me? What life has in store, because I'm becoming an adult. And when you're in the early years that I'm in, you think about what you want to do, and you just sit there and ponder and procrastinate on the things that you want to do instead of just doing different things. I'm not saying, go into the candy store and just run around and take all the candy, but it's like go into the candy store and pick different pieces of candy that interest you. Figurative language, back to what I said in the beginning. But being able to go into the candy store and pick different items that you like will help you. So where I'm getting to with this, meaning that you, as if you're a young person figuring out what you want to do with your life, where you want to go, what you're gonna do, you're stuck at a crossroad, all you think about is what's your next move. I would honestly say just try different things. Look at different avenues. Go to different avenues and do different things. If you, meaning that, go start the YouTube channel you were talking about a year ago. Go start the podcast you were talking about 3 years ago. Go into real estate. Or you were talking about that 5 months ago. Go travel the world. Maybe there's something out there at a different country that you didn't know that was out there for you, but all you was thinking about traveling. And you traveling and reaching that country or place that you want to go to may be the place that sets everything off for you. Because when you're being able to try different, when you're being able to try different things, you're able to see what works, what doesn't work. How did you feel about it? Do you see yourself moving forward with this? So I did the same thing to myself. I tried it to myself. So what I ended up doing is creating a tax business. So I created a tax business back in 2020, ran it for 2 years. But after the second year, I had asked myself, do I see myself doing this in the next 10 years? I had to really ask myself that question. Do I see myself doing this for the next 10 years after the second year tax season was over? And the answer was no. And when the answer was no, I was thrust into a crossroads. And that crossroad, like, type of mind, that crossroad, being stuck at that crossroad made me just ponder and think. But I was able to come with a conclusion on what I wanted to do when I look back and ask myself what made me start the tax business. What made me start the tax business was getting into real estate, because I knew I can just reinvest the money into properties and, have the properties, generate some type of wealth for me. If it's, putting something down for a fourplex home and living in one of the units, having other tenants paying down the mortgage. That was the move. That was the move. But once I said no, that was all scrapped up. So I'm like, dang. So if real estate was the goal for me, how do I get into it? Get my real estate license. Get into the field. Try different things. I didn't want to get my license before, but I was like, if I want to get into a field and actually see how can it, benefit me, and does my inner self see myself doing it long term? So I made the move to, sign up for real estate school. And that right there was kind of like the best decision that I ever made. I can only say that now because I'm still inside the course, but you know, 3 years from now, maybe I'm able to look back at this episode 1 and just be like, yo, it happened. But I'm diving into different things, being comfortable, being uncomfortable. Now that I'm thrusted into this, speaking to a mic, looking to a camera, no audience, no guests, just me and the camera. It's like, whoa, like this is like throwing me off a ship in the middle of the ocean. I'm like, and the captain waves, get back, good luck finding your way back home. And then I'm just like, wow, like this is definitely it. Being able to bring the vision inside your mind into something physical is self-rewarding in a way. Yes, it may be nervous. Yes, you may definitely feel nervous. Yes, this is something that's not typically what you saw yourself doing. Speaking for myself and the audience out there, that definitely goes into something that they didn't think they would ever be going into. You know, this is like, okay, this is me moving forward. This is me like just coming out that shell. Because not in 1,000 years I'll think I'll be in a studio room speaking to a mic, looking at the camera, and just pouring out thoughts just pouring out thoughts, internal thoughts, hopefully motivating the audience and helping them, understand different perspectives. This is the goal. This is like the core heart of it. Because the future of Prometheus is definitely bringing everyone's story into the light, bringing it close to the fire, so it can brew for other people. This is definitely the goal. This is definitely it. This is definitely it. So this is definitely it. This is definitely it. I'm just taking it all in. I'm just taking it all in. I just gotta go back and just say Prometheus, because I did have something in mind that I wanted to say. Oh, since Prometheus will be the podcast where all different life experience come into play, come into the camera. The other reason why, like, I decided to move forward with the name and the meaning is because with me, I'm like a social person. I may not seem it at first. When you first see me, you may first take a glance, but I'm social. I usually run into people that have interesting stories in their lives where I'm just like, man, this needs to be said. This needs to be, showcased, of course, if they're comfortable. But being able to bring forth the light of someone else's story is empowering. When I listen to people's stories and how they came to be to the person they are, it's like, wow, like someone can take something from this and, pass it along to someone else. That was like my vision, because everyone nowadays is creating podcasts, but each podcast is unique in their own way because they have something in the core. That core never changes. It may grow layers, it may have different aspects and different avenues where it takes, but genuinely the core never changes. The Earth's core never changed since the formation of the Earth, but the Earth changed. But the Earth changed. The Earth has its same core, but everything around it has changed. And most podcasts are like that. They were created with the core essence, but as they grew, as they expanded, everything around it started to change. But sometimes the message doesn't change because the message was the same message on day one when the core was created. So That's very key to me and the team that I have. Because this, like I said, this definitely goes beyond me. Because there's a team, and speaking about team, it's very important to have a team. So, nowadays, where you know being viral can happen to anyone at any given moment. A one person could go viral by themselves and they feel like that's all they need. But there's different components to it because you can't do it all. I can't do it all. I can't set up the camera. I can't look at the vote. I can't check the audio, like the lighting. I can play with a little bit, but not in totality. But in order to drive the needle forward, you need a team. So after a person may go viral, or after you decide that you want to create something, there's components to which other people can fit that role and play that role, and that's key to actually that's actually key to building a foundation to something that you want to grow. And I didn't realize it until like mid of 2022, where I met a group of great brothers that are definitely gonna come into the podcast really, really soon, and that I'm grateful for because, like, my ego, which is something that everyone has, everyone needs to deal with. My ego was like, man, I know I can do it, or I can do this, I can do that, I can edit, I can do this, but it's like, man, I can't fly. Like, I can't do it all, but I'm able to play a role and do a role that I know that's best fitted for me, but I am able to learn and adapt just in case I may need to switch roles or provide value to another role. So that's why team play is important to me. Like, whenever I play games or video games, like, the character I usually play are support characters. The reason why I like playing support characters because support characters are selfless. I look at the team's health, I look at the scoreboard, and I look at what can I do to support the team. I've always operated like that. When I played Call of Duty, my KD was 0.79, or like barely reaching 1 point. It was 0.59. No, not to brag, but the reason why it was that low was because I was always looking at the scoreboard and doing something for the team. So one of my favorite game modes was kill confirm and domination. Domination is where there's three capture points: point A, point B, point C. Each of those capture points you have to hold for a certain amount of time, and that certain amount of time will give you points. And if you hold 2 flags, you're getting double the points in a certain amount of time. So B was always the hardest flag to take over because B was in the middle. So with B, the capture point being in the middle, both teams were thrusted into forcing that. Both teams were forced into going into the middle and fighting each other. So what I did was I always made sure that the team always had 2 flags. If I needed to push B and stay around B and hold it down, I'll do it. Same goes for kill confirm. Kill confirm is when you eliminate an enemy and there's tags come off their bodies when they die, and you have to slide or run to the tag, and it gives a point to the team. Sometimes a person could have 30 kills. A person can have 30 kills. A team can have multiple players that have 30 kills, 20 kills, and another 30 kills, let's say. But they can still lose because they didn't get the tags. They were just focusing on the kills. Me, I was able to get kills, but focus on the tags because I knew the tags were eventually going to get us to win. And that's the end goal, to, to most things that people want to do is, most people want to win, but are you able to just be the support? Are you able to stay at the capture point B and just die multiple times and hold it down for the team and risk your KD? Like, I had to ask myself, if am I able to work 40 plus hours a week just to be able to book 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 a studio, book time for the studio, and be able to do multiple things, because you gotta lay the support. So team play and team role is important to me now more than ever, because different roles people play benefit each other more than they think. You know what I mean? Because, like I said before, you can't do it all, and being able to just be there for the team, even if you can't contribute a lot, contribution goes a long way. That little bit may be the little bit contribution you do might be the exact thing that makes everything happen. And use that little contribution, meeting this person and that person, and just being able to put two people together may be the piece that they didn't know they had. There's people in this world where their sole purpose is to bring point A and point B and bring them together, and those point A and point B come together to create something that goes far beyond them. But the person that bring them together is basically like the glue. But the glue is in between the two pieces that were created, so people don't really see the glue, but the glue benefits a lot. Again, like I said, figurative language, what I use there, it helps me, bring up analogies to, further help explain myself in certain things. And plus, there's certain keywords that people, their brains ring to when you explain something. If it's, trying to compare something or create an analogy, people may understand it better. And that's what I've been using, basically most of my life, because I've noticed that me having analogies and showing, trying to connect the dots, help people understand things. Because when you're being able to break it down in its simplest form, then most anyone that has a conscious mind can understand that, can understand what you're trying to get across. So that's very key. That's very key for me. Some analogies, but teamwork, like real true teamwork, was something that I had to learn in 2022, which now led into 2023, where now 2023 is all about literally action. Like, if I want to start something, let's just get it done. Like, let's move. Like, let's talk more action. And I've been thrust into an uncomfortable position. Again, back to being comfortable, being uncomfortable. Excuse me. I've been thrust into just having my time shortened with people around me, because the thing that the creation, the baby that needs to be, developed, needs my time, needs my focus, needs my energy. And I can't give everyone my time, but I can definitely give, the foundation time, because that foundation, the more time I give into the foundation, the more time the foundation will give back to me. So that goes to the business. If you create a business, the more time you put into it, the more effort and blood, sweat, and tears you put into it, it's going to give you that time back. It may not be now. It may not be 5 years, but you'll definitely get that time back, and you'll just be able to look back at it and just be like, wow, yo, like I put it in, and I'm able to just see it flourish. Like 50 Cent. 50 Cent put all that time in the rap game, and he knew he needed to put himself in a position where he's uncomfortable, like, or being comfortable in a different space. Even if 50 Cent wasn't comfortable going into like the whole film production, the whole, writing these stories, directing and producing, even if he wasn't uncomfortable, he still had to put himself in a different situation, a different, avenue where he just had to, like, be disciplined enough to have an open mind, be able to, keep his emotions in check, to be able to, think and plan. But that's why, like, I truly like that's why I truly like what 50 Cent is doing now. I don't know how everything led into 50 Cent, but it led into 50 Cent because what 50 Cent was back in the day was, a rapper, a gangster, all the above. But now he's producing. He's doing these things. He's doing these projects, and he's reaping what he sowed back when he started his rap career, because his rap career, it needed his blood, sweat, and tears. Literally, all those three, blood, sweat, and tears, went into that foundation of the rap, which then led to other things, other avenues that opened up for him to go to it. Now he's being able to look back and look at his rap career and be like, yeah, I got the time back from this, or this is creating more time for himself or his, and his legacy, which is his kids, So, that's one of the reasons why I like 50 Cent in a business mindset, because his business mindset is a level that I hope to achieve one day, and be able to thrust myself into different situations like he has, and just flourish the way he has. He definitely was like a inspiration. Jeff Logan, shout out to Jeff Logan, and Become Podcast, and before you can be, you must become. If you know, you know. Shout out to Jeff Logan, because Jeff Logan was a huge influence in me moving the needle to do what I'm doing right now, sitting in front of the camera, sitting in front of this mic, and being comfortable, being uncomfortable. Because at what point, I'm going to look back and be like, I should have did this, I should have did that. Just do it. Like, as simple as it sounds, literally just getting up and doing it may be the difference between something actually happening. You may not get 1,000 views the first video, or the second or third or the fourth or the fifth or the sixth or the seventh or the 20th, but it's still content. It's still you producing something that you want to do, and no one on this planet should stop you. No one on this planet should stop you. You have one life. You have one body, one mind, and one soul, and the years go by, relatively quick, but when you're living in the present, it feels slow, but when you look back in the past, it looks fast. And it's insane how that works that way, but it works that way. So Jeff Logan, one of his best videos is Be Motivated. If you search up Jeff Logan, Be Motivated, that's one of my favorite videos of him. That's one of my favorite trailers or motivational video of all time to me, because it's like you put yourself in the right mindset and put yourself around the right people, things will happen. And he explains that in that video, and it's just like everything that he envisioned is coming to fruition. He can see it. You can see it in his day to day. So when I was making the decision to start the tax school to get into real estate, I would rewatch those videos just because it's like I'm doing this not solely because of me, but the people around me that I have to protect and provide and lead for, because I am, developing into a young man in this world. And if I'm unable to protect, provide, and show leadership, no one else is gonna care. But no one else is gonna do it for you, and no one else is gonna care because you have to get it done, regardless of how you feel each and every day. Um, your feelings do matter, but at a point, you kind of have to like put it to the side and do what you gotta do. You just gotta suck it up and do it. You do. And that's what all aspects of life. Even if you're not pursuing an entrepreneur career and you want that job, you want that promotion, you gotta eat up those 40 hours a week. You gotta stay up. You gotta stay up and work when you're not on the clock, because how bad do you want it? Like, how bad do you want it, and how much are you willing to work, and how cool are you, being unrecognized of the work that you've produced, because a lot of people produce a lot of work and they're not recognized. And are you okay, not being recognized, but at least still doing it? That's next level. Being able to still produce something and do something, and you're not recognized, and you don't care about being recognized, but at least you got it done. That's the next level. That's a top tier mindset only the 1% have, that I believe. I don't know the 1%, but they definitely have a mindset of being able to do what you got to do regardless of how you feel. Produce. Um, Sometimes you won't get recognized, but at least you have to produce. And that's key. So definitely I look forward to like being able to look back at this. This is definitely going to be cringe for me. But hey, we here, right? We here. So, with that being said, this is basically a snippet, or like the iceberg to Prometheus podcast. This is what we're about. Bringing the light, into the bonfire, and making that bonfire grow, because everyone has a story, and that story can definitely be shared and added to anyone's individual life. This is definitely for the culture. I'm gonna work with a lot of black creatives, get them in here, but I'm definitely gonna work with all people of all types of backgrounds. You know what I mean? So this is definitely it, and this is episode 1 of Prometheus podcast. I don't know if I introduced myself properly, but my name is Dominic, the founder of Prometheus podcast, and we're here. This is it. We're definitely here. With that being said, enjoy the rest of your days. Definitely look out for more pieces of content. We're on Instagram, literally straightforward, Prometheus podcast. You should see this logo. This logo should be up there for anyone to see when you look at the profile pics. And yeah, you'll see my face. You'll see multiple different faces. You'll see the team that's behind the scenes. And this is gonna go a long way. And I see it and I feel it. And the fact that I'm here saying this, and the fact that I'm here despite, having a last minute cancellation, which I don't mind, because I know that individual and I know his story. I don't mind. But the fact that I still just pulled myself to be here and just talk solo into a mic and look at a camera, and the camera doesn't react, and just having a conversation in a room. Basically, I'm having a conversation in a room. This is basically the conversation you have with yourself in your mind when you're solo, when you're looking at the mirror in the bathroom and no one's home and you're talking. This is the inside. This is the inside voice, and I look forward to bringing that inside voice from other people out into the mics and into you guys' ears, so everyone can grow and develop. Because everyone is always growing. Everyone is always learning. You always have to be open to learning. That's a key component, being open to learning. Because without that, man, without being open to learning, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be a tough life, buddy. That's all I can say. It's gonna be a tough life, buddy. If you have a closed mindset, it's crazy. You're stuck if you have a closed mindset. But even someone with a closed mindset can definitely contribute to anything, because they just have this certain little bubble that they live in, but they do day-to-day things that they know that they're capable of doing. If they're comfortable and they're happy, doing what they do on a day-to-day, then that's them. And an outside voice trying to tell them something different, they don't really care, then that's fine. You can't really hold things against people, and they're just stuck in their ways, But yeah, with that being said, this is it. This is the wrap for episode 1 of Prometheus Podcast. Your host, Dominic, aka Dom. Yeah, let's do it.